Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, click the bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live. Sometimes, apparently, midday. I figured on a Monday, there's nothing midday around your lunch break if it's around the same time where you're at. There's nothing more exciting than joining myself for some technical analysis of the market. Of course, the market is picking up momentum here. We're going to talk about objectively what we're seeing in the charts. We're not going to allow our emotions, as always, to guide our thought process in terms of what's going on. We're going to objectively evaluate everything, and I will share my thoughts. Let's see who we have in. Ugos, welcome in. Yeah, H-Bar's having a hell of a move today. We're going to take a look at it. Rory, welcome in. Hands up, welcome in. Merrick, I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. So that being said, let's get into the charts here. So Bitcoin, there's a couple different ways that you can kind of paint this picture. Kind of funny to think being back here, right? That was seemingly a long time ago. But right now we've been coiling up, right? And there's a couple different ways you could draw this. You could draw the line a little bit more conservative like that. You could certainly draw something that's, slanting. The idea is to have multiple touch points. Whenever you're drawing a pattern on a chart, the key is the more touches on the pattern, the outline of the pattern that you have, the more confluence you have, the more valid the pattern is that you're showing. So in this case, let's get off of here for a moment. So in this case, I've drawn this with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the sixth touch. Now, what we want to see in order to confirm that we're not going to get a fake out here, because remember, this is a bull pennant. It's a technical pattern on the chart. It has a certain probability of playing out. There's no certainty. The target puts it up towards 110, 108 to 110. I have this, your target could vary. If you have it this slanting slightly, we're not worried about that. Whether it's 108 or 110, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, what we do want to see for confirmation, this has a certain probability of breaking to the upside. Let's say it's 70%, right? So there's a 70% probability based on evaluations of all sorts of different charts in history when this pattern comes up to say, hey, 70% likelihood we're going to break to the upside. There's, say, a 30% probability that we could fake out, break to the downside, right? So what we want to see for this pattern, to feel convinced that this pattern is breaking to the upside, we not only want to see a break of this line, but we want this volume to pick up. I'm not seeing volume at the moment, so I'm not really convinced we're going to see a breakout until we see volume pick up. Typically, I don't go on lower time frames, but we're going to just for the sake of conversation here to see if volume is picking up. Not really. I want to see volume. You see how strong the volume was here, and we've kind of faded off? I want to see the volume pick up. I'm not seeing the volume at the moment. So that's what I want to see in the chart to feel convinced that we're going to break to the upside. Now, one of the charts that I did want to take a look at with you that's very, very important because it's going to be very telling in terms of when we're going to see a true alt season, okay? You've heard the word alt season now, I think, too many times, probably in the past like 6, 7, 8 months. And we're all waiting for a true alt season. And one of the biggest ways that you'll be able to determine when we can anticipate an alt season truly picking up in this market is when this chart starts to look increasingly bearish. Now this is the Bitcoin dominance chart, right? So as the dominance is decreasing, all it simply means is Bitcoin is making up less of the overall market cap, and your altcoins are making up a larger portion, right? So as altcoins start to outpace Bitcoin and gobble up market share, that's what's going to lead to a decrease here in Bitcoin dominance. Now we have a bearish pattern here we've been following forever. This is on the monthly. It's a rising wedge. Rising wedges, again, have a probability, not a certainty, of breaking to the downside, right? Now, what's interesting and why I wanted to come to this chart in particular, let's talk about this candlestick. Again, this is a monthly. Now, I think it's more important in order to, as investors, right? We're not day traders on this channel. As investors, it's more important to zoom out and look at the macro view and ask the question what that's telling us. Because that macro view, because there's more price data comprised in each candlestick, it's going to lead to a more credible conclusion, okay? And in this case, What I'm liking here is that the monthly is beginning to turn red. I would love the body of this to get way down here, way down here. I would love to close the month right around, say, 59%. 59% or below would be awesome. We are just shy of 60% right now. So I would love to fall another approximately 1% by month's end on the Bitcoin dominance chart. That would set us up beautifully going into December in 2025. Now, what's going to lead to the Bitcoin dominance dropping? Well, we know. I just said the altcoins have to outpace Bitcoin, but there's a little bit more to it than that. You really want to see your large caps start to run. And as you can see here, Solana at one point this morning was 6% away from its prior all-time high. Solana is beginning to move. We're up at 240, okay? Ethereum, we need Ethereum to pick up. You have to realize so many people are bearish on Ethereum right now that when Ethereum actually does start to break up towards 4,000 plus, if you haven't been here before, you are not prepared for what you're going to see in this market. These are my general expectations. Let's take this off here. But what we really want to see on Ethereum is to begin to break this downwards resistance here and start slamming up towards $4,000. As you see Ethereum rising up to that $4,000 level, I highly, highly, highly suspect once Ethereum gets in this level, what will be happening in the market is you're going to see a bleed in Bitcoin dominance because Ethereum's rate of appreciation, okay, how high it's going is going to outpace whatever you're seeing in Bitcoin, right? So we want Ethereum to pick up. I'll tell you something else that's been really helping. Another large alt, well, we know Doge has been running, but another large alt cap that has been running is XRP. Now, the beautiful thing about XRP running, I mean, it's basically doubled in price. And the beautiful thing is, love or hate XRP. I know it's one of those coins you either love or hate. There's really no in between. This is stealing market cap from Bitcoin, which is a great thing for altcoins. You want to see XRP do well. Cardano's been running. You want to see Cardano do well. You want to see Ethereum, Solana, all those majors. You really want to see them do well. This green zone, by the way, is the area I expect a retracement into. I'm just using logic and again, this is about objectively evaluating the data. Typically, when we have a run up above like this high up, you can see, I mean, we've come back down to the 50 and 200 so many different times. So, I'm saying we're more than likely going to pull back to the 71 cent to 56 cent area. Remember, if that seems so out of touch, you think I'm out of touch with reality right now with XRP being up at $1.10, and I'm saying we're going to be back down between 71 and 56 cents. If you think I'm delusional, you haven't been here before. You have to realize at some point, I'm going to call it right now before the end of the year, there's going to be some sort of harsh, that's subjective, there's going to be some sort of harsh rejection in the market where you're going to see a correction in Bitcoin and you're going to see a harder correction in altcoins to fake people out. We've been here for way too long, guys. Again, I give you a lot of credit. If you've been here this entire time during this boring sideways price action, I commend you. I give you a lot of credit for sticking with it. Make sure you don't get faked out along the way. There are topping indicators I've shared with you in a previous video and we've covered on this channel. When those topping signals begin to fire is when the market is likely near its topping point. And we just looked at that last week. We're nowhere near any topping signals on any of the indicators that I've shared with you. By the way, I'm noticing not a lot of engagement on the thumbs up. Would appreciate it. It is a small channel. I'm trying to get the channel out to more people out there. So the engagement you're giving me is helping to spread the channel out to more people interested in logical TA analysis. So that's XRP, that's Ethereum, that's Solana. Why don't we take a look at HBAR? Because HBAR, last I looked, it was up 56%, and we are going to get to Caspa momentarily. Look at that. That is a hell of a candlestick. Now, the thing you need to realize, this is a beautiful chart. I think we can change this one to green. We'll wait for confirmation, though. Technically, we just cleared here this is the confirming candlestick, but we'd have to have a hell of a red day. We're not going below 6 cents at this point. Notice we're still putting in a lower high relative to up here at 18 cents, but it's still a monster move. What are we up today? We're up 47% currently. Congratulations to all my fellow H-barbarians. We're having a really, really solid day today. And the thing I wanted to point out, again, I think it's very important that we objectively evaluate what is going on here. Is H-bar up because of some big news catalyst or some... No, it's not. Okay, I tell you guys all the time, it's all in the charts. There is something called a rotation taking place. I'm going to show you something. Again, these are the things you don't realize if you have not been here for quite some time. And thank you for the thumbs up. I do see that. Really appreciate it. Sincerely. Believe me. Look at the OGs here. XRP still up 7%. It's kind of hovering in that dollar range. XLM is up 16%. Digibyte's having a good day. At one point, it was up over 10%. Dash is up 7%. Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin are going to pump even harder. And Ethereum Classic hasn't had its true pump yet. Once Ethereum starts moving, that one's going to move. What's going on here? It's just a rotation, guys. There are rotations taking place. It's the same thing. If I were to pull up meme coins, right? There is a rotation taking place in meme coins. You had a lot of the large ones running, and a lot of that money is going to start to flood into some of the smaller meme coin projects. So one of the things that's really fascinating, the more time that you spend, and these are the key areas of price confluence, right? So until we start to clear 21 cents, what I'd like to see here, by the way, just to wrap up my analysis on H-bar, we've come all the way up here. I don't want to lose 9 cents, right? I'm fine. I mean, well, I shouldn't say I'm fine for the week, but I'm fine over the coming handful of weeks if we gravitate towards this area and then continue moving up. Because what we're doing, I mean, you can see here, we got the higher lows coming in, and then we would have the higher highs coming in. We got a higher low here and a higher low here. So I'm fine if we come back down to 9 cents in the coming weeks here. I'm perfectly fine with that. In fact, if I was looking to establish an entry and I didn't have an entry in H-bar, or I was looking to accumulate more H-bar, I would look between 10.8 cents and 9.3 cents. You could even get a wick that goes below 9.3 cents, but that's where I would look. In fact, 10.8 is a little too rich. I would go closer to 9.3 cents. So yeah, so rotation is one of those common things that does take place in the market. And speaking of rotation, as you know, Caspa is my largest altcoin holding. I have the highest conviction in this project, both from a fundamental and technical perspective. And I've shared with you guys, and if you follow me on X, you know this, there are, I'm thinking of two technical analysts who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, who are not crazy about the chart. And it's very true. It's very, very, very true that this is the 2-week chart. This needs to clean itself up. We have some bearish divergence on the RSI that we've spent time talking about, stochastic RSI, the MACD. We have to clean this thing up. But the thing that I've shared with you is that this price action right in here is reminding me it's giving me some Bitcoin vibes. Remember, while the structure is not exactly the same, it's not. No question about that. We have to scroll. Look what happens when this chart auto scales, guys. It is crazy to think only a few short weeks ago we were down here. Remember, as we were moving up here, what did I get you guys to focus on if you were here? Okay, if you spent time coming on the live stream at that point, I had you focus on the most basic things in the chart, because that's what I do on this channel. Again, I do not make myself sound smarter than what I am. I present to you authentically who I am as a person. And who I am as a person and chartist is someone who really likes to keep things stupid simple. I do the same thing at work that I do in TA. Let's not overcomplicate it. I don't need to, again, make myself sound smarter than I am. I spoke to higher highs and higher lows. We looked at key price area, and I said, hey, guys, until we start to clear 68,000, yes, it's technically 70,000, But once we clear $68,000 with conviction and formative support, I said on this channel for weeks and weeks and weeks that we would see some strong movements up relatively shortly. That is literally exactly what happened. And what I'm seeing right now, okay, in the chart of Caspa that is giving me these vibes right now, if we go to, and the reason I want to look real quick, the reason I want to look at this 12-hour chart, and I'll fully explain what this chart is, but the reason that I want to look at a 12-hour chart in particular for Caspa is because look at how much price data we have. We don't have a ton of data. It only goes back to essentially 2023. It really launched in 2022, but we'll call it January of 2023, right? So we really only have 2 years or less of price data. That's not a lot of price data, okay? So cutting a day in half, what that does is it creates more candlesticks. It gives us more to work with. It would be ideal if we had 10 years of data here. It'd be ideal if it was Bitcoin and we could look at a monthly chart. It doesn't add a lot of value. So that's why I like looking at the 12-hour chart. Now, I'll explain these moving averages in a moment, but the thing that I do want to explain, okay, I've spoken about 15 cents, I've spoken about 17 cents. If you're following me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, I still use both interchangeably. When we look at the 12-hour, interestingly enough, what I'm seeing is 18 to 19 cents. And you can also see right now, and it's the same commentary that I had about Bitcoin. Look at what we have here. This area right here was our last local top, our swing high, okay? We bounced up to 18 cents, and then we rolled over. So similar to H-bar, okay, as beautiful a move as H-bar is having, you got to start clearing 18 cents, right? Because that was our last local top, our swing high. The same thing in Caspa. We're seeing the encouraging signs. I want to show you. I'll draw this very similar to Bitcoin, what I did before. You know, maybe it'll give us some good luck on the chart. We don't need the luck, though. I hate using that term because we don't need luck. We just need to fairly evaluate what's going on in the chart. So as we can see, what I'm drawing out for you guys is something very similar to what I did for Bitcoin. I want you to focus on the basics, okay? The more you focus on the basics and you don't go out there and you search for all these complicated charts and overdo it, it's called paralysis by analysis when you do that. Pick a few key charts and focus on the key things. That is one of the most fundamentally important things I could share with you. We got a swing high here. Okay, we're going to put that with a blue. And look, we got another higher high. So at the moment, what we can see on the chart is, and I'll actually take this. Well, I'm going to take this one off. I'm just going to, you could technically say this is a high, higher, high, higher. I'm not going to do that. So technically, I don't want to overcomplicate or overflood the chart with too much. So technically what we have right now, for those that aren't seeing it based on what I have drawn, although I think my 5-year-old daughter could come in here and you guys do realize when I talk on X about having kids and all, I don't have any kids. You do realize that. I said I sold my children for Caspa. Not only, obviously, would you have to be delusional to believe that, and I'd be in jail, in prison, but I don't have any kids. So just letting you know. So here's what's going on. This is really basic in terms of what we're seeing in the chart, right? We don't need to overcomplicate it. We have 2 major swing highs and 2 major swing lows. Let's keep that going. This, let me tell you right now, this price action can come all the way back down to this moving average here, which we'll talk to relatively shortly. This could come all the way back down to 13 cents, and I could care less. If we start to take out this level, again, if you've been here, you're noticing how I'm communicating this chart is similar to how I've communicated other charts and exactly how I communicated the Bitcoin chart when everyone was in disbelief, guys. When everyone was in disbelief. And I came out here and I told you we see a rounding bottom with higher lows. I don't know, guys. This looks like this thing wants to go parabolic, and we did. I'm going to keep it just as simple on the Caspa chart. This looks like my 5-year-old came in here and drew this. as long as we don't take out this green circle, okay, that's at 12.2 cents, we would have to have a big correction to break 12.2 cents. If we broke 12.2 cents, then I would be concerned. Where I would really be concerned is if we started to come back down into the 10-cent area. If we came down, I will tell you this, if we come down, which I'm not suspecting, but if we did, if we came back down to this 10-cent area, we are increasing the likelihood highly that we're going to break to 9 cents or lower. We do not want to see that. While I don't think that it'll happen, you have to be prepared for all possibilities, right? I'm not out here telling you what you want to hear or what certainty exists in the chart, because there's no certainties in the chart. I'm telling you probabilistically what I believe will happen. So while that is a possibility, what I see more likely, I'll tell you what I see more likely. In generalities, what I see for the chart on CASPA is coming down somewhere to this range of 14, 15 cents. Okay, coming right back down here, and then going right back up. That, in generalities, is what I'm anticipating in the chart. We'll have to see if it pans out, right? Now, one last key thing on this chart before I talk about what all these squiggly, colorful lines are on here. This looks like maybe you remember Super Mario? Do you guys remember the original Super Mario Kart for Super Nintendo? Like the original. N64 actually had a good Super Mario Kart too. I don't know, they probably made 25 editions of Mario Kart. I only know the one for the Super Nintendo and the one for the N64. Those are the only two I know. Anyway, drop a comment below. Track, good to see you. What's up, my friend? Josh, let's fucking go. Yes. Kraken, yes, they are listing tomorrow. We'll take a look at Matic. Didn't realize it was pumped. Matic is pumping, really. We'll take a look. 13%. We'll take a look at Matic, my friend. What was I going to say here? I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Completely lost my train of thought. Oh, drop your comment. Who was your Super Mario? Who is your Super Mario kart driver that you would select? I would do Donkey Kong or Toadstool. Those were my two. Donkey Kong, I loved because you could go faster than anyone, but when you got hit, you would go super slow to start off. Toadstool was just like, he was pretty quick, and he didn't have like a slow speed to him. He just got pretty quick. But anyway, those are the two drivers I like. Getting back to the charts here for a moment. One last thing before we get into the moving averages and my thought process there. So this is the key area, guys. Just like I told you on the Bitcoin chart. Remember, I said, 68. Think of it this way. $68,000 to me is very similar to 17 cents. But the real level to pay attention to was $70,000, right? In this case, 17 cents, holding that as support has me feeling very convinced that we're going to go higher. But the ultimate level to take out really is the 18 cents. We need the 18 cents to get taken out. It's this area right here. We need to take this area out. I'm telling you right now, when we take out 18 cents on CASPA with volume, this motherfucker's going a lot higher. Keep in mind, very similar to Bitcoin, this thing has been consolidating for over a year, essentially between, very simplistically stated, 10 and 20 cents. In between 10 and 20 cents, weeding people out, making people think that one of the technical analysts who I respect believes it looks like its cycle is over, the chart looks bearish. We'll find out. I don't think so. But that's what we want to see on the chart. Now, as far as the moving averages, why did I create this? Well, if you're familiar with the EMA ribbon for Bitcoin, it's not very complicated. The EMA ribbon for Bitcoin are a series of exponential moving averages in descending order. The idea is you want all of them in the right chronological order, and you want them all trending up, and you want price to stay above that area. Typically, when Bitcoin corrects, looking at the exponential moving average ribbon, the EMA ribbon, it'll come down to some of those EMA ribbons to act as support. And the lower the price goes, so the lower, let me think about how to say this. the lower the price goes to some of these lower EMA ribbons, the weaker the price action is. The more it corrects and stays at some of these higher EMA ribbons, the more stronger the trend is. In this case, I'm not looking at EMAs. I'm looking at SMA. So on the that's just a personal preference, right? We could put EMAs on here. We could put SMAs on, whatever. It's just my preference. I tend to use simple moving averages over exponential moving averages. Exponential moving averages, the benefit to looking at an exponential moving average, it's going to capture more of that recent price action, whereas the simple moving average weighs it out all equally, so you're capturing you're not weighting things to the more recent period. You're not biasing things to the more recent period. So I tend to look at SMAs. So in this case, we have an SMA ribbon. We're looking at the 200, the 400, the 600, the 800, the 1,000, and the 1,200 EMAs. Now again, keep in mind, the reason we can go out to a 1,200 SMA, not EMA. The reason we can go out to a 1,200 SMA is because we're looking at a 12-hour chart. It just takes 1,200 candlesticks, which would be 600 days. So we have 600 days of price action, so we can print that. What else did I want to say about this chart? I felt like there was... Oh, one other thing that we could do. One of the things that I don't speak to as regularly on the channel, but is actually quite valuable and you can use to your benefit, are to look at things called Fibonacci retracement levels. And it's very easy. Fibonacci sequences work out in all aspects of life. You should look it up sometime. I actually wanted to look up a book, an Audible book, to see what I could find to study more about Fibonacci levels. But anyway, we're not going to make this too exact. I haven't even looked at this yet. But let's clean this up a little bit. Okay. So all we do is we take our last high here, right? This is our highest high, and this is our swing low all the way down here. We came since that high. So what I'm saying is since we topped out here at 21 cents essentially, we came all the way down here to 10 cents, right? So what we want to see in the chart, okay, we want to see us recapture these lines here. And the higher the lines we can recapture, the stronger the move, right? There's a golden ratio called a 0.618. You can see that's at 15.7 cents. Ideally, what you'd want to see on this chart, you want to recapture this zone, okay? That's interesting because that line's right up to 14 to 15 cents, what I commented earlier. I haven't looked at this before the live stream, so call it coincidence, call it whatever you want. This is the area that you want to hold. You don't want to start breaking below the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level ideally. You want to kind of hold that level. So price can cool off. That's fine. It's healthy. It's all good. We can come down here. Then we want to start to definitively break the 0.618, which we've already done. That's awesome. The 0.786. Look at where, I mean, is this coincidental or what? Look at where the 0.786 is. It's at 17.8 cents. Did I not say 18 cents was the ultimate key level? So we have a lot of price confluence right at this 18 cent area. We have the last swing high, and we also have the 0.786 fib retracement level. Once we reclaim 18 cents, I'm feeling more and more confident. Now I'm looking at this as well. That's going to be the key area to reclaim. But we have a lot of work to do on this chart. Okay, let's look at some higher time frames here. Now, what's great about this chart? This is a 2-week chart. Let's focus on price action. We have a God candle here, okay? Not only is this a God candle, but we've eclipsed this. And you guys know if you've been here, that's a bullish engulfing candle, a really good sign. We're also getting back above the 10 simple moving average on the 2-week, which historically has been a good sign. Historically, okay, when we've broken below the 10 SMA and then we've recaptured it as support, we've made some big moves to the upside. So we're starting to see that right now. Now, this candlestick is very early. It just printed yesterday on my father's birthday, by the way. My father's birthday was yesterday. So the 2-week candle officially started to print yesterday on the Crypto Bull God's dad's birthday. And yeah, you can see here that I mean, clearly on the 2-week here, the key area of resistance is at 19 cents, which lines up with the price confluence we just looked at here earlier on the 12-hour. Now, the thing that I want to point out here, though, and I had posted about this earlier and said I would speak to this on the live stream. With the price action that's going on currently, we have the possibility to begin to reverse some of the bearish things that we're seeing in the chart. Let's go from bottom to top. Let's go to the stochastic RSI. As you can see on the stochastic RSI, now it's very bullish. Typically, we see strong moves when we see the trigger line breached. The stochastic RSI on the 2-week has just crossed above 20. Very, very bullish. But you can also see we have some downward resistance here, and we're getting very close to pressing up against it. We want to see us break this line, ultimately break this level, and then enter overbought territory, because as we start to come up into this 80 level and we start to breach it, that's when you're going to have some significant moves in the market on CASPA. So we're starting to get to that point where we have the potential. If we get a really solid 2-week candlestick, we can pierce this. Same thing with the relative strength index. Typically green is for support, red's for resistance, but I haven't changed the colors here. So I've marked out a few key areas here. We're starting to reclaim this 57 area, but you can see what I'm honed in on is the descending resistance here. We want to break up, fine if we backtest, and it's just like price action, and continue a break to the upside. But you can see the recent surge in price is starting to help us clear up some of the muckiness on this chart. And then lastly, if we look at the MACD, it's the same thing. You can see the descending, the weakness here. I mean, this is you can't debate this, guys. You can love the project like me all you want, but you can't debate the technicals, right? Same thing I always say about XRP. Look at the resistance here, right? So we're just starting to get the early signs that we could peak above here. It'll be interesting to see what we do with descending resistance. Let's take a quick look at the weekly. Okay, you can see descending resistance here again. Now, this is really healthy to see. On the stochastic RSI, this is great. On the weekly, you can see we've already on the weekly, it's a lower time frame. If bullish momentum is picking up in the chart, it's going to first rear its head on the lower time frames, and as long, I always say this, as long as it sustains itself on the lower time frames, it'll bleed over into the higher time frames, right? Just like I look like a weather forecaster, meteorologist. So as long as the weekly continues to show this bullish trend reversal, we're going to have the same thing appear on the 2-week. So great to see us clear this descending resistance. It would be drawn differently on the weekly. I'm not going to redraw it because this is a 2-week chart. Looking at the RSI, you can see trying to clear that up. And what's great to see on the MACD, it looks like we're going to get a cross above here. But again, we have descending resistance, so we want to clear this up on the weekly. It's going to take some time until we can clear this up. I don't think we're going to see a lot of this cleared up until the beginning of next year, in the first quarter. A lot of the bearishness on some of these price indicators, but these 2 weeks are really helping, right? If we can get a solid 2-week close, I think a lot of the bearishness that people are seeing in the chart is going to begin to clear up. Again, CASPA BTC, we're at the bottom of the range here. Something's got to give. We're either going to break below or bounce up. We're starting to bounce. Good to see. Same thing on Solana, okay? This is my line in the sand. If we start to break this line here, we're in trouble, okay? On the CASPA is really going to start losing some momentum relative to Solana. We don't want to see that. So we're holding up here, which is great. Obviously, I mean, it's probably pretty obvious to you guys, but I want to see us break up here and eventually try to break out to new all-time highs against Solana. Now, let's take a look at, I think Track had mentioned it. Oh, man. Let's take a look at Matic. The mushroom guy, Track. Yeah, that's Toadstool, man. That's Toadstool. Mario Kart 8 on Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8. They've made 8 Super Mario Karts. Holy wow. I don't even know what Dry Bones is. Man, I gotta look up how many Mario Karts there are. That's crazy. Adam, really good to see you, man. Appreciate you always dropping me comments on the YouTube channels, man. I do see those. Even though I'm bad at responding to comments, I do see it. Thank you very much. Good to have you on the live stream. What are we looking at on Matic here? Okay, so as you can see, I haven't updated this chart in a while. We're getting a nice bounce here, but I want to temper expectations, right? We can flip this into support. I'm gonna preemptively put that as support, even though this is the confirming. Oh no, this is the confirming candlestick. So that's support. But look what's going on here. Okay, we still got some work on this chart to do. We have all this downward resistance. Look, we're pressed right up against this downward resistance. This chart really isn't going to look great, honestly, until we clear this line. Once we start to get above $1.30, we still got some work to do, guys. We have to do nearly a 3x. So we got a lot of work here to do. If we look at, just to kind of bring it home to an earlier point, if we look at the fib retracement level, look at this. We haven't even gotten up to the 0.382, right? All the way up at the 1.618, that golden pocket that we spoke about, it's right near the 130, right? So that 120, it's at 120. So the 120 to 130 area is going to be a key level. Getting a nice move today, but nothing overly exciting. One other chart, let me see. There's another chart I wanted to take a look at with you guys. Really wanted to get a sense of how the altcoin market's doing. Now, the nice thing about total others is that, this is on the monthly. The nice thing about total others is we're going to strip out everything in the top 10. So you're really getting a majority of all the altcoins you guys are probably in. So all your meme coins outside of Doge and SHIB, I don't think is in the top 10 anymore. So all your meme coins outside of the top 10, your H-bars, your Kaspas, your XLMs, all those things. And as you can see right now on the monthly, we pointed this out before. If we go to a 2-week, is it more obvious? I thought on this chart we had, I guess we do. For some reason I thought, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong chart. So we sort of have a pole, and yeah, I would draw it like this. So we sort of had this pennant that we're starting to break out of, right? We're not far away, guys. We're like 20% away from taking out our past swing high at 360 from many months back in March. Once we break 360, you can see we got 450, which is the all-time high up here near 490. And then it's a blue sky breakout. Then it's everyone's Fibonacci extension and best guess how high we'll go. I'm sure we'll hit $1 trillion, if not just shy or just over before a pullback. So that would be, 3x or more from where we're at. Now, again, what you're witnessing in this market right now is you're witnessing just how quickly the moves have begun in the market. But I want to temper your expectations, okay, or temper your emotions. These moves that you've seen are nothing, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, for what I'm anticipating, especially next year, these moves are nothing. And so the reason I bring that up is you need to make sure that you have your emotions in check. Ethereum hasn't done anything yet. Once Ethereum starts to move, think of all the people who have called it dead. It is going to bring so much confidence, and it's going to be such a risk-on environment once you see Ethereum up in that $4,000 to $5,000 range. Once you see Ethereum at $5,000, prepare yourself. The other thing that leads me to this statement that you haven't seen anything yet, again, having been here for a few different cycles of seeing altcoins pop off, we are at the climax of Bitcoin dominance, okay? Your largest altcoin moves, okay? Your largest altcoin moves, they don't happen until the dominance starts to bleed. What you saw in H-bar today is going to be all across your watch list at some point, and it probably won't be until early next year. But we should still get some solid movements going into towards the end of the year. But that first quarter next year, guys, that first quarter next year, I'm telling you, it is my view that it is going to be explosive. And so you have to prepare yourself to be very objective and unemotional. And I will be here to share with you not exactly when I'm exiting or how much I'm exiting. That I'm not sharing that. But what I will tell you and what I will share with you is I will update you on these macro. Oh, I don't have it pinned anymore. I have my CASPA address because people were salty over CASPA. Yeah, if you want to drop me some CASPA, by the way, feel free to send it to this address. Everybody was so salty about CASPA. I was like, hey, feel free to send me your CASPA if you don't want it. You don't want it at 10 cents? Please send it my way. No, but what you need to realize is that I just commented to someone the other day that I lose my train of thought when I go live. It's this thing that recurs all the time. And that's an oxymoron. If it recurs, it's pretty much all the time. Yes, so prepare yourself for next year because you really need to have your emotions in check. And as far as the topping signals, which is what I was going to say, I'm not going to tell you exactly what percentage I'm exiting and all that. That's my personal information. I am going to signal to you when things are beginning to flash, which are the same sell indicators that I'm going to be doing, right? So, for example, I have a handful, 5, 6 sell indicators. If 2 or 3 are flashing, more than likely some percentage of my portfolio is going to begin to get sold, right? Keep in mind, what we are aiming to figure out next year is will the market top in the first half or the second half? Both scenarios are on the table for me, right? It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have a top in the latter half, which I've already explained why. The most important thing is we have some logical, objective indicators that tell us with confidence that the market is at or near a cycle top. And that's when you want to begin to scale out of your investments. So I will be here to share that information with you. But again, this market moves fast. If you think this move was fast in Bitcoin, we were seemingly down here at 60,000, 50,000, and now we're going to hit 100,000. We could hit it before the end of the year. I was leaning January. We could hit it before the end of the year. But the whole point is we've gone up 50% in price on $1 trillion asset in a couple weeks. What do you think your small 100, 200 million altcoin market caps are going to do? Things are going to fucking fly, guys. So just prepare yourself to have those emotions in check and to really objectively evaluate everything. And I will be here each step of the way to help guide you in that process. So until next time, everybody, thank you for joining me. And let's all spread awareness and let's carry the education forward. Take care, everybody.